Hey there, it's Imran and you're watching Imran Plus. Welcome back if you're a returning subscriber. If you're new here, thank you so much for clicking. While you're here, make sure you click that subscribe button so you don't miss any upcoming videos. Today, we're going to be talking about Dune. I finally had the chance to go and see this movie in the theater, and I am so excited to talk about it with you all. But I didn't know if I should do a spoiler-free video or a spoiler video because we have passed the second weekend of Dune being out, so I'm going to do both. This video is going to have two parts. The first part is going to be spoiler-free, and I'm just going to talk about my thoughts about the movie as a whole and what some of my favorite characters are. Let's get into this. Going into this movie, I knew what Dune was, and I knew who the characters were, and I knew the basic premise of the story, but I had not read the books. And I have not seen any other Dune material. This was my first exposure to Dune adaptation. And I have to say, this is definitely the definitive Dune. It is definitely the Dune version that is best representative of the book. And I haven't even read the book, and I haven't even seen the other ones. That's how well realized this world is in this film. And it intrigued me so much and captivated me to the extent that I actually am going to go back and read the book. I'm going to go and read the book before part 2 comes out in October 2023 because it is just that good. It's a movie that I wish I could experience for the first time again. And I need more. I need more of the world of Dune. I need to know more about these characters. So from now until the next movie, I'm going to be reading the book, I'm going to be reading forums and watching videos and getting as much of Dune as I can. But keep in mind that this movie is basically a big setup for the next part. And so I would know, I had an inkling of that before I went in because I knew it was 2 parts and I had seen some early reviews. So if you're expecting a conclusive story and an end to that story, I would temper your expectations and go in knowing what this movie's about and then enjoy that because it really is a special film, but it's its own thing. It stands on its own, but it's very much a runway, and then second movie is going to be the takeoff. And so if you know that, I think you'll be able to enjoy this movie a lot more. And I say that because in terms of the story structure, the pace can feel slow a little bit at some times, and it might get a little boring to you if you aren't invested in the world or the visuals or the characters or the actors. And so if you are seeing this movie for any of those reasons, or if you're a fan of the original book, you will not get bored. But if you are completely blind and you don't care about any of those things and you just are really interested in seeing the movie, know that it is a slow movie and it's taking its time. But every part of that is very important. You know, I never got bored of the film, but I did find myself like kind of stepping out of it and being like, whoa, this has been going on for so long. When is this going to end? Is the ending here? Are we almost done? Like how much is left? That's what I mean when I mean the slowest pace. It's not necessarily a negative, but it like draws on you. And I like long movies. I loved Zack Snyder's Justice League, so that wasn't a problem for me, but I just wasn't expecting to feel it so much. But again, I would not change anything about it. I think this movie is really doing a great job setting up the world. Denis Villeneuve has said that this movie, he wanted to set up the world of Dune, and the next movie is going to be the action. So I would keep it as it is because I think the payoff is going to be really good. I think I said it a little bit ago, but the more time that passes from my viewing of this movie, the better it gets. I left this movie feeling Like that was a really good, like a pretty good movie. But now I love Dune. I have to say I loved it, and that's because the world is mesmerizing. It is so hypnotic and beautiful and entrancing that you want to go there. You want to go to Arrakis, you want to go to Caladan, you want to be immersed in this. And the movie feels like a dream or a vision on its own. In the same way that Paul has these dreams, you as an audience member feel like this movie was a dream. And it felt, sometimes when you have a really good dream and then you wake up and you like that, those few seconds where you remember the dream and you're like, that was so good, I want to go back to it, and you try to go back to sleep and return and continue the dream, but you just can't capture it anymore. It's like you feel it fading from your hands like sand, like when you grab sand and it like falls through your fingertips. That's exactly how I felt when I left the movie. I want to go back to it. It was like a really good dream, a fascinating dream, really, really fascinating and beautiful. So that was really good. In terms of the content of the story and what the material that's being presented, I know that Dune, the book, is very rich in story and symbolism and meaning, and I think a lot of that is maintained for this film adaptation. And so I was just fine understanding what was going on. My previous knowledge definitely helped elevate my experience, but I would say if you are completely blind and you don't know anything about Dune, you'll still be able to understand this movie. I was actually impressed by how much they are able to tell you. The narrative exposition is done very cleverly. Denis Villeneuve not only delivers beautiful, stunning visuals, but I really appreciated his direction in this film. I think it's probably one of his best. I think I like this movie better than Arrival, because Arrival, while it was really good, I think Amy Adams did a good job. I preferred Amy Adams in Nocturnal Animals that year. So Dune, I think, is a really, really strong film in terms of its direction as well. He conveys important story elements and key pieces that you need to know for later on in the film and later on in this universe, without just outright telling you. Sometimes he does, but even when he's telling you, it's done in a very creative way. You'll see what I mean when you watch the movie. It's about like a third in with Paul's character. I thought that was so clever, so clever, and I really liked the way he like conveys important pieces about the plot and the world with just visuals and direction. And so I think all of that is a testament to the strength of Denis Villeneuve as a director. And I think it demonstrates this is a clear example of someone making a movie based on source material and being a fan of and loving that original source material. It shows very much that Denis Villeneuve is a big fan of Dune. He loves Dune, he admires Dune, and he respects Dune, and all of that is seen in this film. I think he said he made this film for himself as a fan, and I think that's the best way. I think that is something that studios need to take into consideration more. Like, we have that. That's why Marvel works so well. Kevin Feige is a fan of Marvel Comics, and the Batman looks so good because Matt Reeves is a fan of the Batman and he understands the character. And I think same thing here. Denis Villeneuve understands Dune. He gets what makes it special. He understands it and he loves it, and that love is seen in the movie. I will also say about the cinematography and the visuals specifically, like I said, they are absolutely stunning, breathtaking, and sometimes you forget that some of it's not real and some of it's CGI. I forgot, I was just so immersed in this world. I will say that this is a very immersive movie, and so if you are interested in seeing it and you haven't seen it yet, however you see it, whether in theaters or at home, make sure to create an environment to really immerse yourself in the film. Whether that's turning off all the lights at home or going to the best theater that is accessible to you, it is really, 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 really immersive. And I enjoyed that. I think that there's a lot of potential here for a franchise. I really do. And I think that if they were to make like rides based off this, like how Avatar inspired rides, I would definitely go to that. Definitely. Now, Hans Zimmer delivers in strides. Hans Zimmer is one of my favorite composers. I listen to his music all the time. I love Inception, and I love his score on Inception. Interstellar is really moving to me, and I really liked what he did on Dark Phoenix. Really love Dark Phoenix. His score carries that film, and then all his work on Zack Snyder's films as well. That I think is one of my favorite. That's my favorite of his material. But here he's doing something very different and unique, and I appreciate all of it. He really, really pushed the edge of the envelope. I'm very impressed because the music in the film very much matches the world. It's like you're there. These are the sounds of Dune. These are the sounds of Arrakis and Caladan and the House of Atreides and House of Harakin. Like it is very, very fitting. I will say my favorite track would be Leaving Caladan. And I'll talk about that more in the spoiler part, but really, really strong. If you're a Hans Zimmer fan, you'll be very pleased. Loved it. With that being said though, some of the sound mixing I think could be improved. I think sometimes the sound design is really loud and the score is like blaring, and that's fine, but it's composed over dialogue that is soft. It's played over whispering dialogue, and so that's hard to understand when there's an actor who might have an accent and is whispering, so you need to be able to hear what they're saying, but there's a blaring, score or sound effects that are in the background, and that made it hard to hear sometimes. And so I kind of got frustrated with that. Excuse me, I got frustrated with that to some extent, but it's not like a big negative. I just think I would have loved for that to be improved. And so if you are watching at home, use the subtitles. I think that will help you a lot. Yeah. Otherwise, I enjoy the sound. It elevates the movie a lot. Very, very much. I would nominate it for awards. The cast is great all around. Everyone does a spectacular job, and everyone shines when they're on screen. But my favorites, I will say, are Paul. I think Timothée Chalamet is magnetic in this role. This is the role, this is the perfect role for him. Timothée Chalamet is a very internal actor, and so he shines brightly in all of the quiet moments in this movie. In that moment where he's having a conversation with his father on the cliff, you've seen it in the trailer. He really shines there. And then also in the second half of the movie, there's a lot of scenes there where there's no dialogue and they are just, doing actions. He is acting there. He's acting. And a lot of his mannerisms and his eyes do the heavy lifting rather than the dialogue. He's good in the dialogue, but he really shines in those quiet moments. His posture is saying, is communicating 1,000 words. He's very princely, but he portrays this fresh, young naivety, and I think he did a really good job. He's magnetic on the screen, and I think he really delivered in being the lead of this movie. He's very much the lead. He's in almost every scene, and I think he does a good job. This is a superstar in the making, and he's growing very rapidly in popularity, and I think that it's deserved. His acting in this movie, very impressive. Then Rebecca Ferguson as Lady Jessica. I'll talk more about her in the spoiler review, but I was very impressed. She is a very interesting character, and I want to see more. They set her up in a really interesting spot, and yeah, very good. And her connection with the Bene Gesserit is really cool because I love the Bene Gesserit. The Bene Gesserit are very compelling. We see them kind of in the shadows, and they're operating in the shadows in the night, but they are so cool, and what they're working with and their plan is very interesting and mysterious, and I really want to see more of that. And I'm glad that they're making a spin-off show on HBO Max about them, because they are also one of my favorites. Then Dr. Liet Kynes, played by Sharon Duncan Brewster. Phenomenal job. One of my most favorite characters. This Sharon Duncan Brewster needs to get more work off of this role because she knocked it out of the park. Such a dynamic screen presence. She is pulling focus in all of her scenes. There's a scene where she and Timothy Chalamet have like they duel in dialogue, and that was amazing to watch. And she, you've seen in the trailers, is kind of a resident of Arrakis, and so she, has been with the spy. So her eyes are blue, which I thought was very well done. It did not seem like CGI at all, and I liked that a lot. But even with that like blue layer on her eyes that they did in post-production, they are communicating a lot, and she's just so interesting on screen, and her character is really, really great. I loved her a lot. Then Stilgar, played by Javier Bardem. Very great introduction in this film, and I want to see more of him. I really want to see more of him. He is fascinating as the leader of the Fremen. He commands respect, but not in the way that Duke Leto does. And he very much seems like a leader of a community of people rather than a royal leader the way Duke Leto seems. So I was very interested. He's very interesting and different from the rest of the cast, I will say. Then I will say Jason Momoa as Duncan Idaho. I'm very impressed with Jason Momoa here. He proved in this movie that he has range, so at least some range, because I never was pulled out of the movie by him. I thought he was going to be just Jason Momoa again, but he is not. It's very different from his other roles, very different from him in Aquaman, and I loved Aquaman and I love him as Aquaman, but he's very much Duncan Idaho in this. He disappears in the role, and I believe, I never was pulled out of it. I believe that this is a character, and I'm so proud of him. He did a really good job here. Very good. So those are my favorite characters. I will say Oscar Isaac as Duke Leto is also really good. And the rest of the cast is also good, but I would say those are my favorite. I know if you're a Zendaya fan, you're like, what about Zendaya as Chani? Well, I think we'll talk more about her in the spoiler review, but I think I need to see more of her in the next movie. She's not in this movie at all. I mean, she is, but not to the extent that they have advertised and used her for the promos. So it's very much a Timothy Chalamet movie, and Zendaya is in it very little. So know that if you're a Zendaya fan. I'm a Zendaya fan. I was a bit disappointed, but rest assured that there will be more of her in the next one. I want to talk about the inspiration that Dune takes from other cultures. Specifically, there's a lot of Middle Eastern, North African, and Muslim Islamic influence. I love seeing all of those aspects. There's a lot of Islamic architecture there with the minarets and arches, and there's a lot of symbolism and parallels with the Fremen, the religious Fremen who are praying, and the clothing also mimics Middle Eastern, Arab, North African fashion a lot. It looks really good, and I like that. And I mean, it makes sense because the desert was inspired by that too. Frank Herbert, these are all very intentional references, and so I liked seeing it, but I would have preferred seeing it with more Middle Eastern, North African, and Muslim representation. That was missing for me. For the next film and any films moving forward with this franchise, we definitely need more Muslim actors, Middle Eastern actors, North African actors, because for it to be so heavily inspired by this religion and culture and region, and not to have actors also representing that, I think is a problem, and I would like to see that improved. I also want to shout out the outfits and the costume design. Everyone looks amazing. Everyone looks amazing. The wardrobes of Caladan and Arrakis and House of Rakin, every little society or community, their outfits and their fashion is very unique to them, which is really good. The costume designer and Denis Villeneuve did a really great job in distinguishing everybody. And that really helps when there's so many characters and this is a new world, because you can identify people based on their clothing or based on where they are in the film. And that's really done well. And it not only works so well in the movie, but I really appreciated looking at the fashion as well. There's a lot of outfits that Timothée Chalamet wears that I want personally. Specifically his black coat that he's wearing. I think the first poster of Dune that was released with him walking on Caladan, that one, you'll see it in the movie. It is magnificent. Wow, I need that. And also he wears this like white shalwar type thing with like a blue scarf, because they're in the desert at that point in the movie. And it is just so well designed, because it's kind of like a robe, but it flows back when they run, so it looks like a cape. And I really like that design choice, and I thought it looked good as well, and it could be something that you could wear in real life. And so a lot of things in this movie that I wish I owned, so I really like that as well. So those are my overall thoughts on the movie. As you can tell, I really loved it, and as more time passes, I continue to love it more. In terms of where to see this movie, I saw it in theaters, and I wish I had an IMAX theater near me for me to have been able to experience this in IMAX. It's that good. If you have a really good theater near you, I would definitely check it out there. My theater was not that great. I mean, it was kind of small, and the screen was not that big. The sound system, like, it is not Dolby Atmos, so that was disappointing, and the seats weren't not comfortable. So, I mean, my theater experience wasn't as great as it has been in the past. And so I wish I had an IMAX experience or like a premium format experience. So I would recommend that. But if you're not ready to go to theaters, or if there isn't one of those screens near you, I think you can still have a really amazing experience at home watching it on HBO Max. And I would just create a really comfortable environment for yourself and put on those subtitles, turn off all the lights, use your best sound system, turn up the volume, get comfortable on your bed or in a sofa with a blanket, whatever you want. But really, really get cozy and immerse yourself. It's a stunning movie regardless. It's beautiful, and you're gonna have a great time. So those are my non-spoiler thoughts. I really enjoyed this film, and I really look forward to hearing what you think of it once you've seen the movie. Let me know when you're going to see it down below. And if you have seen it, what are your favorite points? What are your favorite characters? And what are you excited to see in the future movies that this is going to undoubtedly spin off? And if you are a fan of Dune, you've read the books and have seen all the other Dune content, what did you think? I really want to know your thoughts, especially because I am very excited to read the Dune series myself, and I want to know, what did you think of this adaptation? Please be sure to mark your comments as spoilery in the comments, so that those of us who haven't seen the movie can still participate in the discussion until they see it. Thank you so much for watching Imran Plus. I hope you had a great time. Lots more videos coming soon, but in the meantime, make sure to like this video and subscribe. Click the bell icon to make sure you don't miss any upcoming videos. And don't forget to share this video with your friends and fellow movie enthusiasts. Until then, I'll see you in the next one. Bye.